Wired Axcess.
We'll do it live.
Wired Access.
Do it live.
Wired Access.
We'll do it live.
Wired Axcess.
Welcome to Wired Axcess Podcast, where I'm your host, DJ K-Dub Omaha. And to my left, I have Papillion-La Vista South Titan and future Jackrabbits for the South Dakota State, Bryson Bahl. Bryson, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming on. I get to rep the South Dakota State again. I've done it last year when we had Will Kyle, who's now off to UCLA. But big things coming with Wired Axcess. We do have Thursday night. We're looking to be out at the football games more than Friday because I DJ on Friday. I like what I do with DJing. So Thursday night games are going to be huge for us in this fall. Make sure to follow because we're going to need some people putting out votes for which game you would like us to go cover. We'll also have Wired Axcess Plug and Play Player of the Game. It's going to be a chain that people will be able to wear for the interview, whoever we choose for Player of the Game, no matter the sport, too. And that's what I like about it. It's not linked to football. It's not linked to basketball. But this conversation is going to be linked to basketball. Bryson, welcome to the show. You made a big decision over the summer. What was kind of like just the key to get that done for you before we get into the whole procedure and all that? What do you think was key for Bryson to get that done before the season?
Well, I mean, obviously they were one of my 3 offers. When I went down there, I took 2 unofficials and an official here in a couple of weeks. But when I first time went down there, I just fell in love with the place. I mean, the campus is super nice. I love everything they're doing. They just got a new locker room. They're completely redoing the gym, and I heard that's almost done. So
I think they announced just this last week your guys' first home game in that new arena, and that will be cool because I've been at the old arena when me and my wife got to go up there and see Will Kyle, and just the connection with Omaha and South Dakota State is an amazing thing because people get opportunity to go showcase what they have. They know what they have there to develop, and then they're okay with bringing in others to continue to develop. And if you find your place elsewhere, they're not you are their player, and they're seeing you shine. Coming up to the point that you are today, what sports do you remember like playing when you were growing up? Because your family is a very competitive family, and basketball has been your key. But of course, you got your sister with softball. Broden, right? Right. What was his sport?
He was a football.
Football. And then you got Hayden. What was his sport?
Baseball.
Okay, so see, everybody's got their own football, baseball, softball, and now basketball for the Bahl family. What is it like growing up when you have athletes in your family like your brother and your sisters?
Well, I mean, yeah, growing up, I played baseball. I started in 7th when I was 7 years old, actually, played all the way till high school. And I mean, so I was just around it, everybody has their own sport, which kind of makes it cool, like you said. But I mean, I loved baseball. Baseball was probably my favorite sport growing up. But then I realized about 5th, 6th grade, basketball is where my dream was going to be and where I have the most potential. So when I got to middle school, I decided to go to a different baseball team, less travel and stuff. So I had the opportunity to start playing summer basketball. But yeah, growing up, I was big into baseball. I didn't play football till middle school, played that for 2 years. So yeah, I started middle school there, and that's all I played. Yeah.
What do you think was your role to loving basketball over baseball, as you said? Because I think kids in middle school have a lot of decisions to make. I don't know what your parents did, but I know I've said it all the time. If you're in middle school, try every sport if you haven't played it because it's an opportunity. You might make it, you might not, but at least you get to see if it's a love, a passion. Because it's available and you're not having to pay the big dollars like travel baseball and travel basketball. Yeah. When did you feel that love change, and what do you think it was from?
Well, so winter of 6th grade, I think it may be. I started playing. So I was on Papillion-La, which I don't know if there's still a thing out there anymore. I'm not in the youth basketball much, and then I started playing for TNE a bit, and that's when I realized I love this sport. And so in that summer, I started playing with TNE for their summer team. And that's when I really started falling in love with it, about 6th, 7th grade.
Now, the travel basketball as 6th and 7th grade really starts to ramp up. Yeah. Summer basketball, AAU. And I feel AAU has gained so much motivation for kids to try to maybe go a sport and only go one sport. Yeah. How did the AAU or the summer basketball kind of maybe shape some of where you are today?
Well, I mean, when you decide to play that AAU basketball, it takes a lot more time because you have to start traveling and stuff. And I know back when I started playing, I can remember going to Kansas City, Wichita, some more local stuff. But, you know, as you get older, like I got on that Adidas circuit and I played the Under Armour circuit, you start going all over the place, South Carolina, Texas, Bama, everywhere. So once you decide to start doing that and you get older in those older grades, like you said, that's when you really have to pretty much decide one sport.
And when you think of your dedication and your change of, what's some things that you felt you had to change just to stick to basketball over being a multi-sport athlete? Because of course, normally your routines are so even kill because you'll go from one sport to the other, so you're good to pick back up. But you're trying to stay level kill with one sport and be able to not just grow every time you're hitting the court, but know that I'm doing this for a reason. What's some things that you had to change?
I mean, it's a whole different mentality because you, instead of knowing that you get a break from a sport, you could take like a couple-week break, but at the same time, throughout the whole year, you have to be working. And you know, I continue getting my shot better because I was a two-hand shooter for a long time. So I got with the trainer Ryan Foster. He works out like 100,000 and some really good dudes. So he did a little bit of a league team, and I got started doing solo workouts with him year round. And I mean, it's a whole lot more dedication to get to the level that you want to get.
I like that you brought that up. Ryan Foster, doesn't he do is it Team Factory, or does so Team Factory, and it's plugged for any of these guys because I think the results continue to show in the athletes. You brought up Hunter Salas, and I've brought up before where I remember we're there at 9 o'clock. My son's finishing up a session, and here comes Hunter to finish the night until 10, 11. Like, these are dedications and things that sometimes people have hard to realize that it has to come from you and not from your parents. How do you feel that role went where you knew what you had to do and your parents didn't have to push you to get to the practices or the extra workouts?
Yeah, I mean, I'd go to his workouts with him, and he was one thing, and then my oldest brother, he's done a lot. He still rebounds for me for every single game. We have a little routine we do when we get in the gym. But like, I'd have these talks with Coach Foster, and they were just talking about like, what do you want for your future? And he'd like send me home, and he'd tell me, you need to dream, you need to come back, have this picture, and know what you want. And so I took a while. I still think about it. You know, I still have goals, playing in March Madness, getting South Dakota State first win there and stuff like that. But I mean, it's all about dreaming. Dreaming is the first step to it all. So like, I dreamed about my dream school out of anywhere I wanted to go was Kansas. So I dreamed Kansas. Like, I'm on this March Madness sport, Final Four, this shot and all this stuff. And so, you know, it's just all about, if you dream big and you work hard, you can go anywhere you want.
I like that message, especially, I mean, you're going into your senior year. And I've watched you at some of your games, and like, you're a quiet leader by example. And what I mean by, you're not there to talk stuff to someone else. You're going to show it every time. And there's times where you take control of the game where I could tell it's a whole different step level up. Is this part of those dreams and messages that you have to tell yourself when it is time to get in that mode? Because people think that those are modes that you're always in. And don't get me wrong, you're a competitor. You want to win.
Yeah.
But there is a whole nother step to those levels that not everybody can do. And in the game, you're performing it and wanting it.
Yeah, I mean, you come to the game, obviously you're locked in, you're ready to play. But then, you know, you can see game starts going on. A good example last year was like, let's say like a North Star or Westview. You know, we go into halftime, we were down 8-10 points. And then it's like, you know, you just go to a whole different level. And you just go harder and harder and harder. And I mean, a lot of the games like that, it's all about grinding out the win. So I'll start going harder, and then you get your other dudes around you to go harder. That's when it's the most fun basketball you can play.
And when you think of the process of everything that you've kind of been through, and you think of how important was it for you to have multiple coaches to teach you your processes instead of thinking, I have to stick with one person this whole time, and that's all I learn. And I say that because there's so many basketball heads in this area, and it shows by the amount of athletes that get opportunities at the next level and beyond.
Yeah. I would say it's really a blessing because, I mean, there's kids out there, you know, who they don't have like anyone, you know, they're just by themselves, and having the chance to go to Foster, go to my older brother, go to my high school coaches, Heesier, Cooley, Coach Eaton, all of them out of high school. I mean, it's amazing. They all have they all have a little bit of a different perspective, and they'll give you little different things that you could work on and focus on each time you're with them.
So you're coming up through your high school years. Obviously, you're seeing some success in the basketball program. What do you think is one of the key things that continues to make where Papillion South has an opportunity when it comes to basketball and being there for state tournament year after year? What do you think is the main key cog to that?
I mean, obviously, one of our biggest things we do is our shooting. We pride ourselves in shooting some of the most three-pointers in the state. That's just what we do. But another thing is just defense. So every single day for, I'd probably say 30 minutes to an hour, we just do defense and do different defensive drills. And our defensive mastermind is Coach Simpson. And I mean, we just, like my sophomore year, I think it was, we had the best defense our school's ever had. We gave up 46 to 47 points a game. So, I mean, we just pride ourselves in defense, and our defense turns into offense. So we get our kills, 3 stops. If we get 3 stops, that's like 6 points. So that's our big thing.
I like that you brought up defense. You obviously do a lot of the AAU and you travel, and it's not always a thing. How important do you think your defensive game is to stand out at those bigger tournaments, like the Heartwood tournaments and all those travel ones? What do you think? Because it's just not always coached. It's not a thing.
Yeah. I would say, honestly, at those tournaments, I'm a shooter. So, there's a lot of times my shot isn't on. It happens to everyone. But I'm not a dude who's going to go do like the little crafty dribbles and all that fancy stuff. But when I went out there, I was always one of the first people to dive on the floor for the ball, get rebounds, be willing to guard the better players. I mean, it happens when you guard the better players, it's going to happen. You're going to get 20, 30 points scored on you. If you're willing to hustle, work hard, rebound, all this stuff, that's what the coaches notice. And that's what I've heard from a lot of them when I talk to them.
If you're talking to kids that are looking for their AAU process, what's something you would tell freshman Bryson Bahl that could have possibly changed something in your time so far? Maybe a helpful hint, because I say it, I've been around a couple of the games, not you, but just some of these players think they have to shoot 30 times to get eyes on them. They have to do this in those AAU games. But I just don't think that's what your recruiting process is going and what they're really looking for. What have you learned?
Obviously, there's some kids who their thing is scoring that many points. I mean, there's really good players out there. But I mean, if kids like me, like if I got told myself, don't feed into that stuff, like all the videos you see on overtime and all that, all these dudes, that's only few. There's very, very few people who that's their recruiting process. And that it's all about how hard you're going to work when you go out there. Working as hard as you can every single time, running the floor, getting back on defense. And, I've got dunked on a lot this year, but being willing to jump with someone and show that you're not scared of anyone is another huge thing. Mentality.
It's a careless act for your team is what it is. And I think some people have to get that, and not everybody has that drive. What's some things you think you might help your teammates to understand what it takes to win at that level, whether it is seeing them not dive at a ball? Do you have conversations with people that you feel you could trust at the games afterwards of, hey man, just remember next time you can hit that, you can get that?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it. We've done it at halftime before, and that's a hard thing to do, even for a leader, is have the conversations. But there's been times that you can kind of tell the dude's a little scared, so you have a talk with him like, dude, you're a shooter, you shoot like 40%. I don't care if you miss, shoot the ball. And then they come out and hit threes. And I mean, even our another big part of our defense is going after the loose balls and rebounding. So like my teammates know that when I go out there, I'm gonna get every rebound I can, and if the ball going towards you, I'm gonna try to get it. Because that's what matters. So that's why
someone's getting it. That's right. If you think back so far in your high school career, injuries and self-care, what's some things that you could have done better, and what's some things that you're continuing to improve? I say it because that's been probably the bug that has kind of not you, but your school over humps. You guys get going, and one of the key cogs is out.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, just life happens. What's been your learning point on that?
I would say one of the biggest things I started doing towards the end of the year, I didn't miss any games. Work happened right before the moratorium, however you say that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been taking ice baths more during the season. I just started. My dad got one of those big 100-gallon tubs.
Nice.
So that, and then I just, especially more often now, I started stretching a lot more. because I feel like that's going to help just with my hips because they start getting sore. My knees are my big thing. So like I hyperextended my knee in that last year. So I've had worse knee pain in my right knee and it goes down to my calf.
And you're probably still growing, so that can't help at all in the whole situation. Bryson, when you think of preventative maintenance, you've talked about you've went through some injuries. How important is your athletic trainers, not just the actual teacher or the trainer themselves, but they have assistants that are learning the process. And then, of course, you have the strength and condition coach, Coach Pullman there at Papillion-La. We just talked about him with TJ McDougal and how important he was for Ty to get back into going. How important is it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned through the weight room. I'd say my freshman and sophomore year, I didn't trust it much. I mean, I did it, I got strong, whatever. But these last couple of years, I've seen big improvements because of Pullman and the stuff he has us doing. Like, I think from my sophomore to junior year, my vertical went up like 7 inches. It's not like I did anything crazy. I just hit the weight room and did the workouts he gave me. So you have to trust in your trainers. I mean, Pullman's probably one of the best in the state, and you just have to trust in them because they know what they're doing and they know how to get your body physically ready to compete. And then with the trainers, they know how to get your body, if it's you're not feeling good or you have soreness, whatever, they know how to get your body back to that point. So trusting in your trainers and your weightlifting coach is very important.
And it's funny because as I get older, I'm thinking, oh, my foot doesn't hurt. I'm going to be okay. And then they're like, no, we made you an appointment. Just go see him. And I sit there. And as soon as I see the doctor, he goes, tell me what this feels. And he pushes on one point. Now I'm sitting there going, I ain't felt no pain all day. I'm good. But as soon as he hit that one point, it was like, oh, okay. Them knowing the exact point, it blows your mind because you're like, no, I don't feel any pain. But watch, once I touch this, and it's just growth as a person. When you say the thing about lifting, what was it that you didn't believe in? And I say this because this isn't just you. This is a lot of kids.
Yeah.
But if they say it one more time, if I could have started the gym just a little earlier, where could I be today? What do you think was the thing that kind of kept you away and scared you from it?
Well, I mean, my younger years, I just went through the motions. I showed up, whatever, did the squats, whatever. But like then I started going to play basketball. I was a freshman on varsity playing against these big dudes, and I'd get popped. And then you realize like you're not as big and as strong as you think you are. And the only way to get to that point where you can be able to physically dominate someone or compete like that is through the weight room because it's the only place you can get stronger. And I mean, if once you feel that impact or learn and see how that actually works, that's what kind of flipped the switch for me. Because my freshman year, I was a really little scrawny dude compared to a lot of those kids, and I don't feel like I was. Sophomore year got a little better, but this junior year was obviously my best year I've had yet, and I just been able to go in the paint and do more than I've ever been able to do because of it.
See, and it's just having that aggression down in the paint to be able to the drive. When you think of your process through recruiting, what would you have changed up to this time? As far as, was there anything on your side, whether it was putting yourself out there a little differently? Social media is a thing. I don't see Bryson Bahl big on social media. I mean, people might share your stuff, people might put you out there, but I don't see you're like having to throw your own self out there. What do you think has something that could have helped you possibly through the process, maybe learned a little sooner, or what's something that you wish you would have done?
I would say, me personally, I didn't want to go too far from home. And I mean, I feel like when you start getting in that recruiting process and start kind of get a feel for what level you're going to end up at, you really should start like deciding what schools. Like I want like get a list of schools, because I feel like one thing I didn't turn any schools off really, which isn't a bad thing, but I kind of kept my mind too open to other ideas. And I mean, so like I went on that my second unofficial with my parents to South Dakota State. At that moment, I went into the weekend telling myself I'm not going to commit this weekend. And we went through the whole weekend, and that was like it. And I got there and I was like sitting there, thinking about it. And I'm just like, what if there was something else that I missed? But then I was talking to my dad and my mom and my oldest brother, and they're like, dude, this is like the place for you. It's looking at the offensive schemes, the defensive schemes, how you fit in everything, how bad they truly actually recruit you, not just the school name, is also another big thing that I fed into a little bit at the beginning, but figured out towards the end.
And man, those are things, and that's what I love about what we do with this show is if this message gets to you and you're a basketball player going through the process, take it from another one. Like, just take it as experience, because Will Kyle said this about the transfer portal, because that's always a big thing and you're unknown and no one knows. Be present where you are right now. Yeah. After the season's over, that is what it is. But in the season, be present, because it will cloud your mind to where you can't have the success that you want. So with you saying what you said about, I could have had this other opportunity, knowing that, no, I need to take what I have.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you thought maybe it wasn't the way the process was supposed to go for you? No teams or nothing, but of course, sometimes you don't feel the same thing that you thought you should feel from other places, whether it's closer, whether it's something you really had on your plate.
Well, I mean, obviously there's kids who, I mean, I fed into a little bit. Other people like, dude, you could, like, what if you did go bigger? What if you had the chance to go bigger? But that's not always the best thing for someone, because there's kids who, you know, could go like the level I did. You know, I'm going to the one of the best mid majors in the whole country. But then there's kids who had that opportunity but decided, no, I'm going to go chase the name and the clout of the school. And then 1 year later, they're back at the same level I was. So, like, what's the point? If you're go somewhere where you know they want you, where the coaches actually truly recruit you hard and show that they want you there, and then a school that fits you well.
When you see how good of connection South Dakota State has with the Metro, how much more does that add to the comfortability, or knowing that one of your top competitors, Jaden Jackson, you'll get to play with someone like him and stuff like that? How did that help maybe ease the connection a little bit for you?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's going to be a lot easier, because I know that there's someone who lives 15, 20 minutes away from me down there. Someone that I've played against, I've experienced with, somewhat know. It's just going to make the whole experience easier for me. And knowing I have that, it's like a easier peace of mind to me when I have to go there next year.
I mean, because you still got, I mean, there's also Titan Caden Fredrickson out there. That's what I like, is it's not just in basketball. There's baseball. I know there's a couple being recruited for baseball. South Dakota, the coldness, the snow, all that. What does that even bother you, knowing that that's going to happen? I only say it because I was in Brookings for my first time, and the snow was well above the cars. Cars were packed in, stuff like that. Have they at least warned you, or have you been up there when it was like that?
I haven't been up there when it's like that, and I personally hate the cold. But I mean, I live in Nebraska, so it can't be that much different. Maybe a little colder, but you know, it's what it is.
All right. So senior season. What's some of the goals that you and the boys are put on the docket, but what's something that you're looking to leave your mark on?
Well, first of all, make state. Now, I haven't done that the last 3 years, lost 3 district finals to old experienced teams. And I feel like we're one of those teams this year. So I feel like that's personally a small goal for me, is to make state. But truthfully, I think our team could easily win state this year with the experience and, you know, me, Reese, Jaden, Grant, all returning starters. We have the sophomore Levi Webb. He has some experience now, really good.
I felt he really stepped in really well last year when Reese was hurt.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, he did the thing that any other young player will do, right? The ones where you go, don't shoot that, don't do that, but who doesn't, right? Everybody does it in the moment.
Yeah, I still do that.
But there was a lot of key shots he hit, a lot of where he looked like he was in control. How important is that growth through your guys' team going to be able to show this year?
It's really good, because he's a dynamic player. He can shoot the three, he can drive. And I mean, I didn't know much, you know, he did really good on JV, but how is that going to translate? And then we played Central. I think it was Reese's first game out. He came in off the bench, middle of second quarter, hits 2 threes in a row. And that's when I really started trusting him more and more. And then, I mean, his first true start was against the state runner-up Millard North. And I mean, any kid, their first start's not going to go well, you know, turnovers and stuff. But he still had 12 points, facilitated well, and he started developing it way more now. But if he chooses to, like anyone chooses to, he can be a lockdown defender. If you just put your mind to it, you can be a lockdown defender. Anyone can, and that's another thing that can get you recruited.
If you look at your senior year in a total,
Mhm.
Is there anything that you're hoping that you won't have to miss because of your dedication to the basketball? And I say that because sometimes dances get missed, socials get missed, of course, because you have to choose responsibility over relaxation sometimes.
Yeah.
Is there anything even up to this date that you're like, man, I wish I woulda, I wish I could have been?
Not really. I've never been big into the dances and homecoming. I went to my freshman year homecoming, but that's the only dance I've ever been to. So personally, no, I haven't really missed anything that I wish I could have gone back.
That's good. Live your senior year, it'll go quick. When
Mhm.
you look at the basketball player that you are, who do you kind of take your game after, and who do you kind of look up to?
I'd say my shooting wise, I loved watching last year Jared McCain. The way he can get his body set in transition and stuff, and his quick release. That's what I've really like kind of took note of and thought about a bit. And then otherwise, I mean, I kind of like Jason Tatum. He does a little bit of everything, and that's what I kind of like to do. So and get in the mid range more like he does a bit.
Senior year, you're walking across the stage. What are you hoping to accomplish at the next level? What are you going for a major? What are some things that you're, because it's going to happen quickly here.
Yeah. I'm planning on doing something with engineering. I'm not 100% sure yet. So obviously, especially my mom wants me to get that degree. So I'm going to do something with engineering there. And then for basketball, I mean, yeah, just I want to play in March Madness. That's been my dream for years. That's my favorite time of the year is March Madness. That's all I want to do.
Man, have you been to it? You've been to the games here, right? When they come?
Never been to one.
No.
Mm-mm.
Man,
I
you
didn't go
gotta at
last year.
least visit in Omaha. When
Mhm.
you look at the people before you, how important is it for the Omaha area to continue to have names like yourself and others that are able to go to schools outside of the state and make a name for Nebraska and continue to live on the Omaha area or whatever you want to refer to it?
It's a huge thing because I mean, people hear the state Nebraska, and I mean, they don't think sports. Maybe softball a bit, maybe football because Nebraska football is a huge thing. But you hear Nebraska basketball and you don't think anything of it, like Nebraska high school basketball. But there's truly some really good talent in the state that people don't realize until they go to the next level. Like St. Thomas, he's at USC now. Will Kyle's at UCLA. Josiah Dosler, who's at Creighton, he's at St. Louis. You have Jason Green, who's at Creighton. Isaac Trout went to Virginia. I mean, there's every once in a while, but there's more talent than people put the name on in Nebraska.
And what I think I really liked, obviously, there was a couple Creighton players that played on South Dakota State, um, Baylor or yeah, Baylor. I watched South Dakota State play UNO, and I watched those players come to the UNO game to watch them play South Dakota State, and you see the connection with your local athletes. And how important was that for AAU to really build you guys? Yes, when you're challenging these people on the court, you're enemies.
Yeah.
But Omaha together, when you guys travel, it's Omaha, and you guys aren't afraid to support each other. How do you feel that has changed these past couple years of just being able to play with some of the best across the Omaha area or Nebraska area?
Yeah, it's a great experience. I mean, I wasn't really close with a lot of the dudes that I've played with growing up. Didn't really know who they are, but I've had the chance with my Under Armour team I played on, and now this Adidas team, and it's a whole different experience getting to play with the best of the best from a state and getting close friends with them. Because when you get on the court, obviously you want to go beat them, but then after the game, it's just a whole different experience. I love it way more.
AAU traveling, where's your favorite place so far that you've been able to visit and play?
Oh, hands down, Rock Hill, South Carolina, the championship weekend there. It's amazing.
Did you not get to play in Lawrence?
I played in Lawrence back when I was like 4th, 5th grade.
Okay.
They had a tournament there. That was my favorite place back then. That's
Okay,
when
I gotcha.
That's
when you fell in love and they got you hooked.
Yeah, that was my favorite
Okay.
school. Mhm.
What was it about the South Carolina? Was it just the game atmosphere? Was it just the venue? What was it that took you?
I just loved it around there. I don't know. There's something about it that's just like really brings you in. And then you go to the I don't remember what it's called, but you go to the facility, and I mean, you see so many different teams. There's all these coaches lining the baselines and stuff. And then you look over to like court one, let's say, and you can't even see what's going on because there's so many people watching. You have 25, 30 coaches. And that was what it was like. I played an Elite 8 game there, my 16th year. and we lost by 3. But I mean, there was an insane amount of people just watching the game because whenever there's a close game, there's people there.
People pack the courts.
Yeah.
People pack the courts. What's one thing you're going to miss in what you've gotten to experience between the AAU and the non-school sports?
I would say I just love hanging out with your team after the game, you know. Yeah, you may lose a game, but hour later, nobody cares. You know, it's just like you get to play another one in a couple hours. It's not like high school. You have to wait 2-3 days and sometimes even a week to play another game. There's just another one, and you get to go lock right back in and play another one with your friends.
If you had to think of your hardest struggle through basketball and how you overcame it, what would you suggest it would be, and what'd you do to overcome it?
I'd say the hardest thing I went through with basketball. Let me think on that one. I would say it's choosing to finally make that my only sport. Obviously, I love basketball going to high school, but then I fell in love with football. And the hardest decision I ever made was quitting football to just do basketball only, because I came in that sophomore year and I started shooting bad, really bad. I started the season under 20% from 3 and all this. And that's when I realized, like, dang, like I thought I was putting enough time in. I thought I was during the season, coming in for 2 or 3 morning workouts and stuff. But I realized that that's not enough. There's so much more you have to do to start at the level you want to start at and then get better.
It's that visual of the change, you know, and I think sometimes when we're able to bring it out in the show, it just gives a thing of, okay, Bryson's had this issue. He overcame it by thinking of it. Man, I'm going through something similar. And that's what this show's always about. When you look at the Jackrabbit fans, what are they getting with Bryson Bahl in 2025?
They're going to get a sharpshooter, a knockdown shooter, and a dude who's just going to give it his all every time he gets on the court. No matter how big or how good of a team they're going at, it doesn't matter to me personally who I go against, because they're just another kid my age or a few years older, and it's not like I've already not done that before. So they're going to get a hard competitor and a good shooter.
We'll get you out of here on this. What does Bryson Bahl do to take away from basketball? What's your relaxer? What's your thing that you like to enjoy that isn't basketball? Because of course, sometimes you have everybody want to talk basketball. There's got to be something that you get to relax and get away with.
I love fishing. Fishing's one of my big things. I did it this summer with one of my middle brother, Broden. Fish with him a lot. My dad is a friend who has ponds, so I love fishing. And I love playing video games in my free time.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Xbox or 360?
I'm a Xbox player.
Oh, wait, I just said Xbox and 360. Gosh, I've been out of the game. Well, anyways, I appreciate Bryson Bahl not only just sharing the process of, remember, go where you're wanted and you feel legit want. Don't go where the clout thinks you're going to take it. And then also remember, Thursday nights, looking for football. I'll be out there this fall. And then any other sport, looking for that plug and play player of the game with DJ K-Dub Omaha. Wired Access, part of the Hurrdat Sports production. We'll see you next time.